So if you've been raising composting worms for any amount of time, you might have discovered, like I have, those things are voracious. They eat like crazy. Well, I want to show you how you can gather up some free food, right maybe in your own yard. What we've got right here is burdock, and this is one of the most nutritious foods you can feed your worms, or even yourself. And it's nice because you can cut it like this, throw it in your little basket, gather it up. Now, I'm fortunate that by my chicken and compost bin area, I've got quite a lot of it. So I'm not really worried about taking too much because there's more. Okay, so that's your basic basic burdock. Something else is this plant right here, right next to it, and this is plantain, another very highly nutritious food for your worms. They're going to love this stuff. Now, do I need the scissors? No. Plantain's also good if you get bee stings. I'm a beekeeper. Um, Bee stings happen. You come out. These are actually close to some of my hives. And you take a leaf, you just chew it up a little bit, make it into like a poultice, put it on the bee sting, and the pain is gone. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and pick a whole lot of this right now. I'm just kind of making a quick video for you here. But over here, I grab the basket. We've got another type of burdock, and they call this yellow burdock, or I don't know why they call this curly, something like that. But it's the same thing. All these leaves that I'm taking off, they'll grow right back. I don't know about you, but oftentimes I feel kind of terrible about picking these things, cutting them off. It's almost like, oh my gosh, I'm killing it. But no, these plants are hardy. You're not gonna hurt anything. What you are gonna do though is give your worms some good nutritious food. Now, one other plant that I want to show you that we're gonna use for this video is, oh, you know what? Let's go let the, oh, my sign's tearing up. Let's go let the little velociraptors out. Come on, girls. Come on, let's go. Come on, Alice. Come on, Alice. Let's go. But the other plant that I'm talking about, not too far away, is stinging nettle. Now, this is another one of those plants that if you Google it, you'll find out this thing is like a super plant. And what I'm going to do is just top it off. I'm not going to cut the whole plant down. I'm just going to top it. And yes, you see, I'm holding it. And I'm probably going to itch for a little bit. Common name for this, 7-minute itch. If you've got arthritis or anything like that, take this. The Romans used to actually smack themselves with it to heal pain and to heat their bodies up. I have a cup or two of nettle tea every day, and it works for just amazing amounts of things for your health, for your body. And believe it or not, if you like earthy tasting kind of stuff, it actually tastes pretty good. Okay, and we've got one more plant that is probably one of the most important plants that we're going to feed our worms, because this guy right here is your Bocking 14 comfrey, and it's one of the most nutritious plants out there, besides the nettles that I think that one's actually the most nutritious plant in the world. It's got all the vitamins and minerals and everything that your worms need. Now, we're going to just pull off a couple of leaves. Like I said, I'm not going to make a big batch here. I will, but I'll spare you the time on the video of not doing that. But we're just going to grab a handful. And we're going to take everything, throw it into the dehydrator, and I'm going to show you how I process it for the worms. Now, while we're at it, we'll take one more. Sorry, buddy. I know you'll grow back. Now, this plant will actually double. It'll send out 2 shoots from here and actually double its size, which is great. All right, let's process this free food for our worms. All right, now comes the fun part. We're going to take all this free food that we just got, basically from the backyard. We're going to cut it up. And the only reason I'm cutting it up is when I put it in the dehydrator, this will allow the dehydrator to work a little bit quicker. Now, one of the things that I did here was I'm mixing everything together, and that doesn't matter because it's all going in the same place, because after we dehydrate it, we're going to put it in the blender, and we are going to grind it into a powder, and I'm going to show you how that looks when we're done, and give you my top secret recipe for my worm chow, which is not top secret. Basically, anything that was alive and that can be cut up and ground up, I put it into my worm chow. And why do I do that? Nutrition. You know, you think about it, if all your worms eat is cardboard, paper, leaves, although leaves are a fantastic thing and I use them quite a bit, and you'll see that. But if they're only eating one type of thing, well, that's not what worms do in the wild. They're basically eating everything and anything they can get their little mouths wrapped around, that the bacteria like, because they're going for the bacteria. They just eat this in the process of eating that bacteria, and that's fine. But the more good free stuff you can give to your worms, the better. You know, when I first got into doing worms for serious, for my farm, for my gardens, for my plants, you know, I started off small, a couple of bins, and the average food that, you know, I'd have left over, I'd throw it in there and it would be fine. Well, once you get to a certain point, um, you need more. And this is free. And not only is it free, it's highly nutritious. It's exactly what the worms want and need. You think about it, you know, you talk about a plant like nettle or comfrey or the burdock. Those are all, and the plantain. Don't let me forget the plantain. Those are all bioaccumulators. They all have deep tap roots and are extremely high in vitamins, minerals, all the nutrients that your worms need to make the best castings. Okay, I think my pan's getting a little full here. Got a little bit left, but I'm not gonna, I've jabbered on quite enough already. Really, folks, go out into your backyard. You can find this stuff. Dandelions. Pretty much anything you can cut down in your backyard is probably better than any of the store-bought leftover food scraps that you're giving your worms now. So, okay, we're going to take this. I'm going to pop it in the dehydrator. I'm going to come back when it's dry. I'm going to go ahead and grind it up. And I want to show you something else that I do that I think you're going to find very interesting in this video. It's a great way to get rid of your coffee and your coffee filters in a really economical and good way of using those filters and your coffee and making it so your worms can get it really good. I'll show you. Okay, if you've got one of these, then you've probably got some of these. And if you've got some of these, and you've got some of these, then you've probably done this. Well, I'm going to show you a new way of making these more available to your worms. And it's kind of fun too. Well, folks, if you're anything like me, you get up in the morning and after you make your coffee, you end up with something like this. Coffee grounds in a filter. Now, if you've been raising worms for any length of time, you know that worms enjoy coffee. They also enjoy the carbon that comes from the filter itself. Now, normally what I would do is I would just take this and maybe put it on top of wherever I did a wet feeding as kind of a marker as to where I did it. And I thought, yeah, well, maybe there's another way of doing this. And I just recently came up with this, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I find about 3 of these at a time inside of my blender here, and I use the whatever blade, the heavy duty blade, in my flea market NutriBullet that I paid $3 for. But it works. Works great. All right, this might get noisy. I might have to tune this down, but basically, grind it up. And what we're left with, what we come out with, is this. The filter turns into a white, fluffy, pulpy kind of thing. Now, if you've ever done, like I was just talking about, taking your filter and just plopping it down on top of the worm bin, sometimes these take a while to deteriorate. But I'm guessing this is not going to take long at all. What do we got? We got 3 in here. We're going to pop it right inside. Okay, come on. Maybe this not fitting on quite right and taking a little bit of effort to put on is why it was only $3, but hey, it works. And I'm looking forward to being able to use this when I do a dry feeding, when I do a wet feeding, either way, that's going to add good carbon and nutritious coffee grounds to my feeding. And we'll just take this and pour it into, get this, we'll pour it back into a coffee can. We're going full circle here. Now, one thing I'm thinking about is when I add this, because it is dry, is that maybe we might have to add water and make coffee. Okay, just a little tip that I came up with. I don't know if you want to use this or not, but I'm going to use it. I think it's going to work good. Now, one of the things that I learned about dehydrating this kind of thing is if you let this sit, if you let the green plant material sit overnight, it kind of dehydrates a little bit on its own. Now, you can just leave it like that and let it dehydrate on its own, but I've got a dehydrator, so I'm going to speed up the process. One of the things I do so that I can fit more in my little dehydrator is I press it down, put another tray on top, and add it to it. And let's go bake it. And it's cooking. So out of the dehydrator, okay, so our comfrey, our nettle, and our burdock leaves are all nice and crunchy, straight out of the dehydrator. And now we are going to take 3 and make 1 by grinding them all together. It's a pretty simple process. We're just going to put them in the cup here. And the cat decided she wanted nothing to do with it because she knows it's about to get loud. I don't know if it just showed her jumping off the table, but there she goes. Now inside of here, I've got my worm chow, what I call worm chow, worm food. This is basically what you're just seeing right now being done, but there is a multitude of ingredients in here. I do use a little bit, I grind up a little bit of my chicken layer feed. Pretty much anything I can dehydrate and grind up goes in here. Again, variety, nutrition, and free. Now, no, the chicken food's not free, but I have to buy it for the chickens anyway. But pretty much everything in here is either free or extremely cheap. You know, a lot of times you can get things like rice oatmeal, um, beans from the dollar store. Really, really cheap. And okay, I know worm farming. No, no, I don't want to spend money on my food for my worms. I want to use everything I throw away. That's great. Nothing wrong with that at all. But sometimes I think adding a little bit of variety to your lettuce and whatever else your scraps are will make your worms healthier and your castings a whole lot better. So okay, I'm going to grind this up the rest of the way and we're going to feed some worms. Okay, let's feed these guys. Now, as you can see, this is pretty much castings. So I'm getting ready to harvest these, so I'm not going to feed a lot of wet food, but this is the wet food that I give. Again, a lot of variety. We've got pumpkin, squash, lettuce, anything that's green that I have basically gets shredded, frozen, thawed, drained, and then put back in here. We'll cover that up nicely. And then we've got my super secret worm chow, which is not a secret. Basically, anything that was alive goes in here. I think I mentioned it earlier. Beans, rice, oatmeal, pretty much any kind of scraps. I grind it up. Now this has got the comfrey, the burdock, the nettle, and the other little green leaf there, plantain, all mixed together. Highly nutritious, highly fattening for your worms. And we're just going to give them enough to get them through about 2 weeks. Now I know between the wet food I put in there, this dry food, and the other little coffee ground filter grind, it's going to last them a good 2 weeks. And then this particular bin will be ready for harvesting. Now this is what came out of the coffee ground filter and coffee that we ground up earlier in the video. And this is what came out. And as you can see, it's pretty dry. So we're going to go ahead and give it a little spray because we all know the worms and the bacteria, they need that moisture to be able to eat on that. So we'll give them a good spray. I don't want to give them too much water because again, I am going to be harvesting this soon. But we'll just go ahead and mix that all in so the worms can get good access to it. Folks, pretty much everything that you saw me put in this bin as far as food goes was free, or pretty much free. Again, sometimes I go to the dollar store and get some of their stuff, the beans, the rice, things like that, cornmeal, really, really cheap. Naturally, my food scraps go in here as well. But if you go out into your backyard, you're probably going to find things, green leafy things, especially this time of year, May, in North America anyway. I don't know about you guys down in the Southern Hemisphere, but right now we're getting all kinds of greens. And you can go out there and get free food for your worms. Don't have to buy it. It's already readily available. Just a little bit of work to go out and get it. Do you have to dehydrate it? Nope. Chop it up, throw it in there too. It might take them a little bit longer to get to, the bacteria to get to it, to get it to a point where the worms can actually utilize it. But it's free and it's kind of fun. Kind of gives you the feeling like you're doing something for the worms rather than just putting them in a bucket and letting them do their thing. These guys are good to go. Folks, I thank you very much for watching. Feel free to get on the channel more and see what other kinds of things that we're doing here. Thanks again. We'll see you later.